Amazing. Hi, Brandon. How's it going?
It's going all right. Thanks. How are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. First of all, I just wanted to say congratulations. Infinity Pool is such a wild ride. I've watched it twice personally because I had to, take it in the first time and then think about it the second time. Now, I want to know what inspired Infinity Pool. I heard that you kind of started with a short story and expanded on that.
Yeah. So initially, it was a short story. The short story, for those who've seen the film, was essentially just the execution scene, the initial execution scene. It was a scene in a fictional country where someone is watching a double of himself being executed and thinking about identity and justice and punishment. When I decided to expand it into a feature, and also it was a short comic at one point in a comics anthology, that's when I brought in the resort stuff, because that seemed like a great setting for characters who are operating without conventional consequences.
That's amazing. I want to know, what is the biggest takeaway that you want your viewers to have from this film? Do you want them to leave being like, what just happened? Because I was on the edge of my seat. I was gripping the theater seats when I was watching this because I didn't know where it was going to go.
Oh, well, that's fantastic to hear. Thanks for that. To be honest, though, I don't like to answer that question because I like to leave room for the audience to explore a film. I don't want people to go in knowing what I hope they take away from it, or knowing what my interpretation of the film is. I really like films where there's room for an audience to inject their own interpretations and maybe even disagree with each other. If there's any kind of discussion about the meaning or takeaway of a film, to me that's a great thing. That's the kind of filmmaking that I really like. So yeah, I guess ask me in 2 years and we can talk about it. But I don't want to preclude the possibility of having the audience explore it on their own.
Of course, personally, for me, I've thought, it ended one way, and then I think about it some more, and I'm thinking, oh, it could be this way too. So I know, of course, you're not going to tell us, but I think that it's. I can tell you right now, we're all thinking, and we're all like, what the heck, right? So, really great work on your end. I want to talk about the incredible cast. The casting for this, for every character, it just makes so much sense to me. I want to know how, you got Alexander Skarsgård and Mia Goth involved in the project.
Well, Alex was working on The Northman, and he was very cold. And I think that really helped us because he was shooting it in Ireland. He was doing these fight scenes in freezing rain and mud, and he was absolutely cold. And so when he got a script for a movie that takes place at a resort, I think he said yes immediately. The joke was on him, of course, because actually it was very cold by the time we finished shooting. There's a scene where he's fighting naked in this as well, and it was also shot in below freezing temperatures. It was snowing when we shot that, so it was just a repeat of his Northman experience. But I think that definitely helped us. Mia was shooting Pearl at the time, and yeah, I was honestly just lucky with both of them. They're both actors I've been wanting to work with for years. I think they're absolutely incredible, and for whatever reason, they agreed to do this, and I'm very lucky to have had them.
Do you think, that scene where Mia's on the car, or the scene where she's yelling, James, the internet is really, really loving that scene. Did you, when you wrote that, when you guys were shooting it, did you think, oh my gosh, this is going to be, a thing on TikTok? Or did that ever spark your mind?
Absolutely not. I don't think TikTok was a thing when I wrote it. I wrote the film between my first and second films, and so the initial writing for the film was maybe in 2014 or earlier. The sort of short story. Yeah, I think that we had a finished script and we're developing it around 2018. So I didn't know about the TikToks at that point. It's really funny. Those scenes are on paper technically what they are in the film, but Mia really gave them this additional energy, and you know, she really brought something spectacular to them. They obviously are part of the climax. I knew they needed to be big, but I don't think with a lesser actor they would have achieved that level of interest for the internet. I mean, she's on an incredible.
She's a star. She's a star.
She's on an incredible tear right now. I've always thought she was amazing. I mean, we cast her before those movies came out, and so it's sort of incredible that she's getting this much deserved attention. But yes, I knew 100%. She had it in her, but she really took it to another level.
No, she's fantastic, and I can't wait to see where she goes next as well. Now, I want to know, was there a difficult decision in the artistic process when making this film that you can share at any stage?
It was all difficult, to be honest. I think the trickiest thing was just that it was an indie film, and we were trying to do a lot for the time and money that we had. Not that it was a small film, especially by Canadian standards. You know, it's not tiny, but the amount that we were trying to fit into our shooting schedule and the amount that we were trying to do with that money was quite a lot. So the whole thing was a sprint, honestly, from start to finish. From a directorial standpoint, anyways, the shoot was fun but hectic and crazy, and yeah.
100%. Now, I've seen your film Possessor. I'm a huge fan of horror, of sci-fi, and I noticed watching your films, you know, you kind of have a signature style with, you know, the camera flips and the lighting, but I also noticed there's a bit of a theme going on with, I don't know how to say this, I guess like the creepy kind of faces. So in Possessor, you know, the movie poster has that face or mask, which is also in the movie. And then now in Infinity Pool, we've got these masks that they put on. Is there any kind of tie-in? Is that like an Easter egg? What kind of inspired you to continue with this?
It's hard to say. I don't know. It probably requires some kind of psychoanalysis. I don't really know. I don't really think about my films as a group of work. You know, I think about each one individually and what they require individually. The mask in Possessor had to do with obviously performing these other characters and people performing each other, and that was designed by Dan Martin, my effects artist. The masks in Infinity Pool were actually designed by a really great filmmaker named Richard Raphorst, who does also comics, graphic novels, and concept art. And I loved his art for many years, and so knowing that they were going to be so central to the imagery of the film, we brought him on just to design those specifically. That's
incredible. Would you say that there's any films that you watched growing up that really kind of influenced you?
Probably, but I don't know what I don't know what they are. It's terrible at answering that question. I don't have a good list.
That's okay. Now, I want to know, this is my last question. Can we expect more films like this from you in the future? And is there anything you can tease us with? Because I cannot wait to see what you do next.
Oh, that's very kind of you. I hope so. It's always hard to know with movies. Again, there was such a huge gap between my first and second films that I'm still not confident about the timeline for these things. There's a space horror movie that I'm working on called Dragon that I hope to get made that I've been developing for a number of years. There's also a limited series that's an adaptation of a book called Super Can that I'm working on. I don't know if either of them are happening for sure, but those are the two that I have going on right now.
You're a Canadian filmmaker, so I absolutely love that. You know, I'm Canadian too, so everyone needs to go see Infinity Pool. Thank you so much, Brandon, for your time. Really excellent job.
Oh, thank you so much.
Amazing. Great day.
Bye.